Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are on part 4. Is it part 4? Yeah, part 4. Last of our tutorial series on the vintage stacked envelopes, journal, and drawstring bag tutorial. Last time we bundled up this beautiful stack of vintage envelopes that we did together. And now today we're going to be making the drawstring bag. So the point is depending on your envelope size is what your drawstring bag size measurement of your fabric is going to be. Now my largest one is, let me see, I'm going to kind of flip this over. I think it's like a standard. So this is about 4.5 inches wide by 6.5 inches long. My stack is. So what I did is I didn't do it that way. I actually just laid it on the fabric, and you can see I'm on this is the front side of the fabric that I have, and this is the back side. And I laid it and just kind of wrapped the fabric over to see about approximately how much. So I will tell you the measurements of this. If you are making a stack similar to mine, then your measurement will be similar. And I made it a little larger. The bag will be a little larger because I want to be able to fit other ephemera in there. So let me put these aside and I will tell you the measurement. Okay, so I took this piece of fabric, and you can see I used pinking shears as opposed to ripping it because we're going to have some raw edges in this bag, and that way you don't have threads peeking out unless you like that look. Okay, and for all of you non-sewers, we're going to glue this today as opposed to stitch it. But for you sewers, you can take and stitch your hems over at the machine. All right, so I have 26.25 inches in lengthwise because I'm going to put my stack of envelopes the lengthwise, not the widthwise. If you wanted to put your stack in this way, then you would measure it for that. So I'm putting my stack in this way. And then the width I've measured is 11 inches. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we're going to make this. It's so simple. You're going to take the one long side, the side that you're going to put so this is going to be like this, okay? And we're going to be putting this will be the drawstring on this side. And we're going to be putting our packet of envelopes in here. So you're going to measure 1/4 inch. Let me pull out my little ruler. I have a little ruler here somewhere. That's not my good little ruler. Anyways, I'll just use the big one because I don't see my good little ruler anywhere on my desk. Okay, so you're going to take your measurer and you're going to measure 1/4 inch all the way down, and that's going to be our first where you're going to turn over the edge. Okay, so you're going to have a nice even edge there. Then as you're measuring, you're going to go ahead and measure up to the 1 inch. So that'll be another 3/4 inches. So it's a 1 full inch from the edge. And then that will get folded over, and I'll show you on this side. That will get folded over here, and this is where we're going to run our drawstring in, our ribbon in for our drawstring. Okay, so you can see here what I did is I already turned over the one edge, and then I turned over the other edge and ironed that. So I have a little iron out here, and the reason why I iron that is because that's going to make it easier when you flip it over and glue this down to put your ribbon through. Okay, so I just ironed that down. I have this little teeny tiny portable iron, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this side. So I'm going to start and kind of just work that edge over. And it doesn't have to be perfectly even, but as close to that 1/4 inch line as possible. And I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to actually just take a little tiny bit of this Fabri-Tac glue, and whatever fabric glue you have, even Eileen's tacky glue. And I'm just going to run a very thin bead of it all the way down. And when you hit the heat from the iron on the glue, it really makes a nice seal. You can get a, so I'm just going to go ahead and flip that over. And it's pretty tacky quick. It's tacky quite quickly. And then I'm just going to run the iron over it, and that's really going to give me a good seal on that hem. Okay, and then we're going to turn it over at the 1 inch. So I'm actually, this should be about 3/4 of an inch, and it is. So you can just, so it's a total of 1 inch, but it's 3/4 of an inch, you know, the fold is. And that's where we're going to run the ribbon. So let me just iron this. Okay, let me move that iron aside. And now we are going to turn this over, okay? And you're going to meet the edges. And this is where I would take it to the machine and sew it about 1/4 inch in all the way up. But we're not going to do that, so I'm going to add glue. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the glue up on half of it on each side. I mean, it couldn't be easier. And you're going to glue all of the way up. So I'm running it in about 1/4 inch or so from the edge. Both sides. And then I'm just going to meet the edges over. Let me turn it, oops, let me just turn it this way. And just fold it, whoops, meet the edges. Let me see. I think I probably should have just done one side. I've never glued the material before, but I probably should have just done one side at a time, but that's okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that heat on there again. Let me put this back over here. And then we're going to turn this back over and we're going to add glue to the top. Now, if you're going to sew this, I'll show you what you have to do in a minute. There's just going to be a little bit of a difference. All right, let's see if we can, if that's, nope, that's not ready yet. I want that to be glued because then we're going to put this, flip it back inside out. I don't want it to fall apart. Just that little edge. And then we're going to turn this over and we're going to secure that with glue. Don't fall apart on me. If you're doing this at home, my suggestion would be to wait you know, 10, 20 minutes to let that glue really harden. Okay, you're just going to put your finger in there in the corners. Just to, there we go. One side, let's get this side. Trying to do it where I don't push the glue out because it's not quite tacky. And then, so you see we've got a nice finished edge here. Okay, and what you can do here is you can iron that down if you want to, flat. But for the time, we don't. Okay, now we're going to flip this back over. And this is where you would run it to the machine and sew all the way around that. But we don't have time for that, so we're gonna have to glue it. I'm thinking maybe I should, yeah, you know what, it would have been easier since I'm not sewing it to keep it this way to glue that. See, I've never done it without sewing it, so I think I'll just flip it back this way, and that way I think that'll be much simpler. You would flip it, if you're going to sew it, you would flip it. And this is literally the easiest way there is to, oh, and you know what? Because we glued it, I've got to unseal these edges over here. If you had thread, you would just take a seam ripper. So I'm just going to undo this because we have to run our ribbon through there. So on each side, I'll show you. So I'm just going to, since that it hasn't really gotten hard yet. Okay, now we're gonna glue this down. I'm gonna sit down because I'm standing. And more than likely, I'll go in, since I'm gonna be selling this, I'll end up sewing this whole thing down. But I wanted to give you non-sewers. Or you can, you know, if you sew by hand, you could just sew right down through here if you do that. So, but I wanted to show you how you're going to run your ribbon through for those of you that have never made a drawstring bag before. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down, just a real slim bead of glue right down the edge. Okay. I think I'll just run my iron down there. And this side. And we're going to decorate this bag. Find a pretty piece of ephemera and some fabric for the front. You could do a little collage on it. We'll do that in the next episode. Okay, now I'm going to turn this back over. I want to make sure I have an opening here. Yeah, that's open. And we're going to run some seam binding in it. You can always take like a pencil or a dowel to get in the corners to get that down, you know. See. This is probably one of the, if you're going to start sewing, this is one of the simplest. This in a pillowcase. things to make. So what I want to do is I want to decorate this after, but I have to find something and we'll just do a quick decoration on it. Okay, now I have a roll of seam binding here, and you're going to need 2 pieces. So I want enough so I can tie it up on one side. So I'm just going to take a piece there, and then I'm going to take another piece the same size. Okay. Now, the easiest way to run this through there is to take a safety pin, and I think I have one over here. I thought I did. Maybe not. Yeah, I do. I have a black one. Okay. Take your safety pin. I'm going to kind of just double that and put the ribbon on it. Okay, now we're going to find one of those open edges. I'm actually going to open this up. And we're going to run this through one side, and then we're going to run it through the other side. So then we have the drawstring. And if you want to make your bag even larger, whoops. So don't, if you're only gluing, leave this part open. If you are sewing, you're only going to take a few stitches out. All right, let's bring this through about there. And now we're going through the other side. And then we'll do the other way. So now my suggestion, I'm looking at this because I've not done this without sewing, is I probably would come in, you can leave it like that, you know, the edges like that, but you might want to tack the inside top right here with some glue. It's whatever you like the look of. So this we'll drawstring that. Now we need to come in this other side. I'm going to do the same thing, so then we'll have the strings coming out this way as well. So you can drawstring that way. See what I mean? So let's open up this a little bit and do this. Now, the last set that I made, decorating the cover, I believe I found a real pretty picture or an advertisement. And I think I put it on top of some muslin fabric. I'm not sure, some lace. I have to go look at the picture because I forgot. So we'll do something similar, however you want to decorate yours. And then we're coming in front of that other ribbon. I'm just using some cream colored Hug Snug seam binding. You can use any ribbon you want. I have used lace. I used lace in the last one, but my last drawstring bag, I should say, but it doesn't slide as well, so it's a little bit more difficult to work with. Okay, let's even these up a little bit. And then usually what I do is I put a knot on the end of each one of the ribbons. I would just tie a knot right here so they don't keep fraying, but I'm going to probably reinforce this sewing it. So there you go. There's your drawstring, just like that. Okay, so you've got your drawstring bag. Okay, so that's that. So I hope you found that fairly simple, guys. And then now we have a place to put all of our letters in there, just like that. And our stacked envelopes, rather. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll be back, and we're gonna decorate this, and then we're gonna start our journal on the next one. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.